Hi children, today we are moving to a new lesson, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. In this lesson, we want to study 5 subtopics. Then each subtopic contains many small types of topics. The first one is the age of social change. The second one is the Russian Revolution. Then the third topic is the February Revolution in Petrograd. The fourth one is what changed after October. The last one is the global influence of the Russian Revolution and the USSR. These are the important topics we want to study in this lesson. Here, in the Russian Revolution, you have to remember that is in 2 types of revolutions also happened there. The first one is the February Revolution and the second one is the October Revolution. Here the first topic is the age of social change. You know that we already studied in the first lesson that is about French Revolution. After the French Revolution, 3 important ideas were spread into whole Europe. That is the contribution of the French Revolution. They are like the first one is freedom, equality and fraternity. These 3 things are very important. These are the very powerful ideas. Then the French Revolution, you know that is opened by a possibility of creating several changes in the way in which the society also was structured. Then at that time, what we have to study before the 18th century, the estates also, that means the society also divided into 3 important estates. We already discussed that one. The first one is clergy, nobility, and the last one is the small peoples like the peasants, then artisans, then many businessmen like that. That is the third society. Then again suddenly after the French Revolution, that is a lot of changes also we have to see. In many parts of the world, including Europe and Asia, some new ideas about the individual rights and who control the social power began to be discussed. In India, 2 reformers, they are Raja Ramohan Roy and Desroches. They also talked the significance of the French Revolution and many others, that means many other personalities, they have to conducted several debates. The ideas of post-revolutionary Europe. But in Europe, not everyone wanted a complete transformation. Here only 3 important parties. They were known as, the first one is liberals, second one is radicals and the conservatives. This is the third one. These 3 are, they need or they wished for a gradual shift, or those who wanted to restructure the society radically. Now let us study about the liberals, radicals and the conservatives. Here, the liberals means they are always looked to change society. They need or they wanted to talk about the change of the society. Then liberals wanted a nation which tolerated all religions. Here, we should remember that at that time in European states, usually discriminated in favor of one religion or another. That means, at that time in Britain, they have to only favored to the Church of England, Austria and Spain favored the Catholic Church like that. But the liberals, they have to oppose this uncontrolled power of dynastic rulers and they are supporting to all religions. They need all religions and they wanted to safeguard the rights of individuals against the governments. They argued for a representative and they need for an elected parliamentary government, or they are supporting to the democratic form of government, and they subject to laws interpreted by a well-trained judiciary that was independent of rulers and officials. These were the important demands of the liberals. But they were not Democrats. The liberals were not Democrats. They did not believe in the universal adult franchise. You know that in the democratic country or in a Democrat, they are believing to the universal adult franchise. But these liberals they do not believe in universal adult franchise. That is the right of every citizen's vote. They felt men of property mainly should have the vote. They also did not want the vote for women's. That means they were never supporting to the rights of women or the vote of women. The second one is radicals. The radicals wanted a nation in which government was based on the majority of a country's population. And many of them were supported women's suffragette movements. And unlike the liberals, these personalities, that means the radicals, they opposed the privileges of great landowners and wealthy factory owners. They were not against the existence of private property, but disliked the concentration of property in the hands of a few. That means some of all the properties were concentrated in very special cases like that. Some personalities had only concentrated these properties. So this system, the radicals were never supported and they were against it. The third one is the conservatives. Like the names, the conservatives, they always opposed to the radicals and the liberals. After the French Revolution, the conservatives opened their minds to need for change. Like in the early 18th century, conservatives had been generally opposed to the idea of change. By the 19th century onwards, they accepted that some change was inevitable, but they believed that the past had to be respected and change had to be brought about through a slow process. That means they also realized that they need the change, or they are supporting to the change, but they were respected to the earliest systems, and the change they believed that the change had to be brought about through a slow process. The next subtopic, that is the industrial society and social change. Here, how was the society when the industries came up? The industry was a new concept not only for Indians but also whole European societies. Let's find out how did the society change after the establishment of the industries. Our topic is the industrial society and the social change. Because of industries, how did the society got increased and brought changes in the important theme of this lesson? The social and economic changes were started to happen because of the changes which came in the society when we talk about a war or change. Change is nothing but something with the existing get modified. That is the meaning of change. That is called change. Society is changing and economic standards of the people also changing. That was the broader prospect of when we mention about social and economic change. And you know that after the industries developed, so what happened? New cities also came up and new industrial regions also developed and railways network also expanded and the industrial revolution occurred. What is the result of industrialization? Industrialization brought men, women and children to factories and their working hours very long. They are working for long hours and the wages also they have to get a low wages. Unemployment was common thing. Housing and sanitation, that also the important problems they are suffering. And since the towns were growing rapidly. Now, children, the next topic is the coming of socialism in Europe. Here, the socialism, first we want to discuss about what is socialism. Socialism means that is a far-reaching visions how the society should be. That is socialism. You know that vision is something various. Then, it is a body of ideas. And what is the main base of socialism? Here, these are all the problems in the society. That is, the main reason is that is the private property. When a factory is run, when the peoples are employed in this, the socialists also wanted this change. And the socialists always against the private property. Because they believed that the individuals, if they are on the property that gave employment, but the property were concentrated only few of the peoples, that is with the personal gain and not with the welfare of those who made the property productive. That's why they were against the private property. So, if a society is a whole rather than the single individuals controlled property, more attention would be paid to collective social interests. Then the socialists, they realized that they need more changes. So, that's why they were conducting many campaigns in all over Europe. Here, the next one is that we want to discuss about some of the socialist their changes or their visions. The socialists had different visions of the future. Here the first one is Robert Owen. They were believed that person, he believed in the idea of cooperativism. He was a leading English manufacturer and he sought to build a cooperative community that is called into New Harmony in Indiana. Other socialists, they believed that cooperatives could not be built on a wide scale only through individual initiative. So they demanded that the governments encourage the cooperatives. The second person, Louis Blanc. He was a French, or he wanted the government to encourage the cooperatives and replace the capitalist enterprises. These cooperatives were to be associations of people who produced goods together and divided the profits according to the work done by members. The next one, we know that we heard about these personalities. They were Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. They added their ideas to this body of arguments. Karl Marx argued that industrial society was capitalist. Capitalists owned the capital invested in the factories and the profit of the capitalists was produced by workers. The condition of the workers could not improve as long as this profit was accumulated by private capitalists. Workers had to overthrow capitalism and the rule of private property. And here, Karl Marx believed that to free themselves from capitalist exploitation, workers had to construct a radically socialist society where all property was socially controlled. This would be a communist society. Here we are discussing about four personalities. The first one is Robert Owen and the second one is Louis Blanc. Then the next one is the capitalist. Here Karl Marx and the Frederick Engels are very famous. Marx always argued that the capitalism